let's now wrap it up here. We've looked at array and objects. So what do we do? Another thing that we do every day is what we call user registration. As a developer, if you never master the act of authentication, then the person will still have a long way to go. Array and objects. You can imagine how you want make I put this space now yourself. So if you never master the act of authentication, it becomes very, very important to master them. So similar to what we did with our array, I'm just going to do this, and then we come to JavaScript. So right here we are first of all going to create an array of objects. This is becoming complex by the time. We earlier had array alone, later we had object alone, but now we want to create what we call an object array. What this simply means is just an object or list of objects inside an array. Alright, so this is how it is, and inside it you have this, and this, we call this mark. Right, and maybe we have another one and give it 50, and maybe we have another one, give it this. All right, and then we put comma here, and let's just get some MacGen, Lucy, Efe, and this could just be so it's female. All right, something like this. So this is what we call an object array. That is an array with a number of objects inside. When we're working on Java, what is it called? On capstone projects. Most times when you debug to return to check what your database is giving you, it's something like this that it gives you. You see an array, and inside the array you can see many things inside curly braces like this. These are objects array, objects inside an array. Okay, so how do we now go about displaying this type? How to display? Want to display the items. Let's just call it displaying the items. Remember, we already have unordered lists right up here. So let's come and say the on all that list, we'll pass it to document dot get element by id, and this id is user lists, which I have up there, right? And then we can also use for each loop. Okay, can use for each loop, just like we did the array, because this is an array, but just that what is returning inside is an object, not just how do I call it, not just a list of items, but objects. So now we are going to say the users dots for each, and we give this the callback function. Each person or each object that is returned now represents a user. Okay, and what do? We need to create the list items just like we did before. Sorry, we call this documents dot create element. What element are you creating? We are creating our lists elements, and we now say our lists dot inner texts. All right, well, what are we doing with this inner text? Let's say the inner text. Now we now bring in our template literal, because what is being returned is an object, so you cannot just, if you just print out the objects. Okay, let me mess it up first. So let's assume like what we did before. Let's return user. Okay, and just my own approach, so you're free to use your own approach. It doesn't matter. I will now call my ul dots append child, and what I'm appending inside is this. So now see what you have. It's not going to give you anything. See what you have here: object, 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 object. But what we need to access is actually what is inside, either the name, the age, the gender, anything. That's what we want to list here. For that, we don't need this. We need to get our backtick. Inside the backtick now, we are going to use our template literal like this. We now say user dot name is returning undefined. Why is it returning undefined? Okay, well, let's do something again. I see. So why is it returning undefined? Because why was it returning undefined before? Is anybody following me? So if you want to add other things, you just put something like this and you do the same. user dot sorry dot age. Okay, and the last one, user dot gender, and then case close. So here we have combined the array and objects together, and here we are using for each loop to return all the items of the array. We put it onto the screen. So we have the list of our users here. Simple. So if you have worked on a dashboard before, you have built a dashboard, you know that on a table you do print out all this, something like this most of the time. There is no mechanical concepts or almighty formula attached to it. Just understand it basically like this in a vanilla JavaScript. Then when you go into other, Coco de Coco, you will still get the point there. So if we have any final question, let's take it, because I'm closing the button here, or the curtain, or whatever it's called. Questions?
Yes, yes, sorry, sir. Sorry for another question.
Right on.
In a practical example, is it possible we have something like from this our array of objects now? Let's say we have something like in a place of other users, you have continents, and then before each of the objects now, they still have another name as the object name, as if it's in a separate. It's a standalone object like let's say country. I don't know whether I'm making sense. But let's say, let me not even go very far with that explanation. Let's say we have like let's say you say first name now. Okay, first say first candidate or something like that. Then you put that equal to, you put a column before the first. That is, I'm talking about line 16 now. I don't know whether you understand me.
Line
I'm trying to say
16.
that I'm trying to say that is it possible that inside of this same array now, each of the objects still has their own name?
I,
That is
I never understand what you mean.
just write something there, just write anything and then put colon before that bracket. That's what I'm trying to say.
I should write
Just
something here before
write
putting.
something and then put your colon before the that thing colon, then space.
Uh,
And
the,
hey, is it possible? Do we have something like this in reality?
this is your question. They ask me like saying I me do JavaScript. My name no be JavaScript. So the thing is, an object first we should note that objects are enclosed in and curly brackets. That's number one. And two, objects are in pairs, the key and the value. All right, this is one, this is another one, and this is another one. So an object cannot be complete when it lacks the key and the value, and it will also be an issue when the object you are trying to create has something outside the brackets, the curly brackets. So if there is something like this in reality, there may be, but I don't know yet. Maybe the person will get JavaScript instead they think how you go take do am.
Or maybe when we put like const before what you wrote just now, then you put colon, then you see bracket the object that is already inside the bracket.
But let me ask, what's it's good to think, all right, to just try to beat the odd, but what do you want to achieve by trying to add something here?
I'm just trying to. I'm not trying to like use. Okay. I'm not trying to let maybe that in case we miss something like that, maybe like in the future we'll not be shocked. Then I'm also thinking that I would like to use an example of, let's say, where you put users, that cons users on line 14. So we have the continent. Then now, before you list each of the objects there, you now put like const Europe. Then you just start the normal declaration of the normal object and start putting like inside in the place of name you put like country. Then you supply the name. You can decide to put capital, supply the capital and other information just following in that order. Alright.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but another person fit help answer the question. Be like say this one don't pass me. And remember that you can also have array, I mean objects inside another object. We talked about that before. So you can have nested objects, right? Let's say that I want to do something like this. You know, if it's this is an object array, but in a normal object you can have nested objects. That one I know of it. But this one where they ask now, me too I go find out. But if you first me see I beg learn am well well so that I go come teach us. Though I've not had a need of how do I put it? I've not had a need of how do I call this one now? Let me exemplify what I'm trying to say. Country here, inside this country, we now have something like this, and we call this. Do you see? So like this now, I can create another object inside this object, right? And here, we can just put country here, this, and then put this like this. This will give us a nested object inside this particular object name, the first one here. So if you succeed in what you are searching for, don't hesitate to come and teach us, Mr. Benedict. And thanks for asking, because at least those questions like that, they wake person up from sleep. I know say some of them we don't sleep when they hear that question from the dream, they did not know when they jump out, come wake up. All right. So please, if you are still awake and you can hear me, let me see thumbs up before we take roll call. All right. Thanks, guys, and